What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 19 of my Total War Warhammer 3 Yuan Bo Immortal Empires campaign. As we saw last time, we have begun the second of the Lizardmen relay invasions, I guess that's what we're calling them, and have destroyed the first of their armies and auto-resolved the second because it was weak and pathetic, and then we have a third one on the way with Yuan Bo heading towards it. Afterwards, we will be going to the third and fourth relay, which I imagine will have progressively more difficult armies, and then of course we have the endgame army, or the final campaign objective battle to be fought. Only then can you defend the Wuxing war compass from the final incursion. I do have to wonder whether that means we actually have to defend it in Cathay itself, which would be concerning, wouldn't it? Because we're very, very far from Cathay, aren't we? And it says we have to defend the compass. But anyway, I guess we'll figure that out as we go. Let's see what we still have to do this turn. There ain't much, I believe. I did the buildings. We have moved everybody. Diplo is done, which means there's really only one thing to do. And that thing is to annoy Zatan's faction further by forcing them out into a field battle and destroying as many of them as we can. Let's get Persistent Fire to buff up this army even further, and construction cost reduction for Great Bastion buildings, that doesn't feel that worthwhile. Neither, frankly, does diplomatic relations with Grand Cathay, because, well, we're basically done with Grand Cathay. They're all our subjects at this point. Anyway, you're gonna get your points, and so is your Alchemist. And with regards to this, we both use Gehenna's Golden Hounds and Glittering Robe quite a bit, so let's get a little bit of both. I believe... Oh, I wish I remembered which one of these I got before. This is 25, 25, 25, 25. It's slightly longer, but increases armor piercing, whereas this does not. This does give us flaming attacks, which is nice, I suppose. Piercing, flaming, or poison. I'm gonna go with piercing. Gotta go with piercing, especially for when killing lords, which is generally the time that I feel like we'll be using this. Plus, I feel like it'll be more useful in the endgame. Let's also, I guess, get Glittering Robe and Gehenna's Golden Hounds maxed out, mostly because those are very, very usable, and then we'll move through the rest of the tree afterwards. We gotta remember that Miao Ying likes to cast as well. Anyway, let's head out towards the Volary here. Or towards these armies, and Pyrrhic Victory. And very nice. They do have an artillery piece, a hell cannon this time around. Gordas is still alive, I notice, though no Zatan this time because he's been defeated multiple times. Let's get to it.
Today we face evil. Today, as on all days, we shall smite it!
Alrighty, well, we've heard that particular speech a decent amount of times already, Miao Ying. How about coming up with a new one? Anyway, we're going to begin the battle by annoying the enemy as we do with our crane gunners and our grand cannons combined. I love this combination, and the sound of them both, the firing of the grand cannons over the crane gunners, and the reasonable effectiveness of both units as well. Looks like the enemy hobgoblin cutthroats are nearly out, and I stop paying attention for 2 seconds, and the enemy drops a Searing Doom on one of our units of Jade Lancers. A little bit unfortunate, but oh well. Let's make sure that this is, by and large, the most damage that this particular army deals to us. And in fact, I just want to say, I feel really bad for Zatan's faction because it keeps getting screwed over by terrain, especially against Miao Ying's army in particular. So all of its reinforcements, the big reinforcements I should say, are coming in up here, where they will essentially be funneled by the terrain into one blob as they move forward, all while in range of our cannons and probably our units of the crane gunners as well. This is going to be ugly for them, and I mean, last time we fought one of Zatan's armies with Miao Ying's range superiority army, it was ugly. I think this is going to be even more ugly by virtue of the terrain screwing them even harder. On top of that, obviously, we also have spells, and yeah, good luck to you as that Warhost of Jar.
Hey,
Alright, well, at the very least there is one set of reinforcements that is not stuck or does not get funneled by the terrain, but it does get funneled by virtue of being a reinforcing army. So here come our Celestial Dragon Guard and our Jade crossbows, Jade Warrior crossbows, to ruin their day. I'm going to destroy those poor laborers with a couple of volleys, as well as those Hobgoblin Raiders. And I still absolutely love the fireworks of that particular unit. Really gotta get some Sisters of Avalorn if I can. And we do have a decent amount of Elven allies at this point, so it is looking fairly likely. Also, I do think maybe some Treekin would be fairly decent in a few armies, especially since we have access to the Lure of Life to keep them even more tanky, considering they're already insanely tanky. Anyway, there's an Overseer over here leading the enemy troops, but it looks like his army is dead, so there's very little for him to oversee, and he's going to get ripped apart by our crossbows. I do, however, notice that the ammunition on our crossbows so far seems a little bit light. We do have some forms of ammunition buffs from our technologies, as well as some faction-wide buffs, and we're definitely going to have to take advantage of those, because we have been running out of ammunition a fair amount of time. As we progress later into the game, and potentially fight more stacks at once, especially during the end game, that's really going to, matter. Anyway, the enemy Overseer is going to take a few more volleys, but looks to be just about done for. Come on, a few more shots to bring him down. He probably should have put that shield on his back rather than be holding it like that. Maybe he could have taken a few less shots to the back if he had done so. Oh, is he going to survive this? No, he's not. He is not going to survive. And goodbye, Overseer, and this means that this army can now turn over here and start moving towards the enemy army that's approaching. Though we're going to start annoying them with a nice Gehenna's Golden Hounds I was about to say right in the middle of it, but of course, Vortex luck means the Vortex will always choose the worst possible direction. You know that thing where, like, if something bad can happen, it will happen? Yeah, well, Vortex, if the Vortex can move into a direction that's awful for you, it will move into that direction, 100% of the time. Anyway, we can still drop Searing Dooms upon the enemy and other spells, so it's not like that's going to be a huge deal. I did summon a unit of Ancestral Warriors here, mostly to try, though, to protect our Alchemist. We moved in, and the enemy immediately went and surrounded it with those Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders. Now, if I wanted to be cheesy, I would have just kept these Ancestral Warriors here to block a bunch of the enemy units so that we could hit them with more spells and more range fire, but I decided, well, the enemy has very little chance here anyway, and I don't really want to be cheesy, so we're just going to get those Ancestral Warriors out and not block the enemy army at all. What we are, however, going to do is move Miao Ying completely around the enemy army to kill that Hell Cannon, which is now completely unprotected. That is the enemy's problem, and that is not cheesy at all. Runaway Ancestral Warriors or Ghosts or whatever you are until you dissipate. Let's try another Gehenna's Golden Hounds in this pile of enemy units, and let's also continue the work of our Grand Cannons. I do like how the Grand Cannons sort of color match the Gehenna's Golden Hounds as well. Nice work. Alrighty, it looks like we're out of time on the summoned undead Cathay zombies, and the enemy will now continue moving forward. However, the rest of our army is approaching as well, so soon the crossbows will be in range, and our crane gunners will continue to fire all of this time. Balance of power is about 50-50 for now, but they have to run the gauntlet. They have to actually approach us, and frankly, I just don't see how they're going to accomplish that one. Miao Ying has also destroyed, by the looks of it, the enemy Hell Cannon in the background, so we're safe in regards to that, and we can just fly on out of here without much trouble, without even necessarily bothering to engage the rest of the enemy troops. We also have a nice little hill, so a little bit of an elevation advantage for our cannons and for our crane guns, and it makes it a little bit easier for them to fire on the enemy without interfering with our crossbows and such, or the latter interfering with them. And there we go, now they're finally in range of the crossbows, and the range firepower gets even uglier. Well, let's see if they can do anything about this. Last time we had a range superiority battle, the enemy did not even reach our lines. Let's see if they will this time. At the very least, they're trying something. A unit of enemy Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders is going for our back line here, but it looks like it will fail as it gets shot up by Jade Warrior crossbows. Just in case, I did preemptively pop the glittering robe, but it looks like it wasn't needed. Ooh, looks like we will get a few shots on us from the enemy range units, but because of the 200 armor, due to that glittering robe buff, it's not really going to do much whatsoever. And it looks like most of the enemy army, or at least this half or 3/4 of the enemy army, has pretty much broken and failed to reach us, though it looks like this unit of Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits might do so. Alright, they're going to turn, and they are going to run at our Jade Warriors. They are wavering, their lord is dead, and they will break just before getting there. Well, and that's unfortunate. There is still a decent amount of enemies remaining, but considering the sheer amount of units that have failed to get here, I don't imagine the rest of them are going to have much better luck. They also seem to have been chasing Miao Ying around with, like, I don't know, like 15 units. I'm not entirely sure why the AI was doing that, considering she was flying around in dragon form at that time. Oh, range superiority. Granted, this would have gone a lot worse for us if the enemy had had the Dreadquake mortars and stuff, but alas for them, they don't at the current time. But I'm sure we will encounter plenty of Dreadquake mortars in the endgame scenario, so that should be a pretty fun time for us. Anyway, the Infernal Guard are leading the charge here, taking a decent amount of shots on their shields, but it looks like even they will melt away to cannon fire and those Celestial Dragon fireworks. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, and as the Infernal Guard break, well, the army is not yet done, and look at that. We are running out of ammunition. The crane gunners are nearly out. The crossbows are almost all completely out, with the exception of the Grace of Chua Yin, and we may actually have to do some melee work. It is shocking, I know. Though already our Jade Lancers are doing some melee work in the background, mostly to chase off units that were already heavily damaged, but at the same time charging a few weaker units that are rallying and coming back into the fight. Not a problem for them. Oh, and just as I say that we may have to do some melee work, just as the enemy was about to finally reach our melee line, as we ran out of ammunition, their leadership will plummet and the army will shatter. Ugly. Very, very ugly for them. And once again, we gotta remember that Miao Ying's army will get stronger as it gets more Celestial Dragon crossbows to replace the Jade Warriors, more Crane Gunners, more ammunition, some Fire Rain rockets. It's gonna be good when we get to it. Anyway, it looks like it's time to give chase to as many enemies as possible. This is, after all, outside of the enemy main settlement, and if we don't destroy a sufficient amount of them, we won't be able to auto-resolve, and I'd probably rather not, once again, refight a battle that we just absolutely obliterated the enemy, and due to the auto-resolve screwing us over, so Jade Lancers, do your best. I do, however, still plan to move the Jade Lancers out of this army eventually, so yeah, this army is going to have a much more difficult time chasing enemies off when it's mostly missile infantry and and artillery. But anyway, a heroic victory, and just by the sheer amount of enemies that were arrayed against us. But once again, range superiority and the terrain comes in completely clutch. We could have actually even screwed them over even further, and just to point out, by deploying here instead. As in not here, where the enemy could have at least spread out, but like there, where they would have had to go around this like that and just in a complete column. But well, this was already ugly enough, let's say. Alrighty, well, that was pretty ugly. The fact that the enemy has to approach under fire from our guns, and especially as all of the armies other than this tiny little one came in as reinforcements, completely screwed them over. Not that I'm complaining, mind you. Let's see, leadership ore increased, another Silk Weaver, standard of Wei Jin, which we should probably... Well, actually, this army isn't very... It's not very melee infantry focused, so maybe not as useful. I want to see if the Fan Waver, Silk Weaver, Fan Waver, Silk Weaver, not quite the same thing, is only for lords. Damn. Unfortunate, and quite the shame. Now, question for you, Miao Ying. Can you auto-resolve? Yeah, there's basically nothing out. Alright, so just auto-resolve this and sack the place. 18k for our trouble, I mean... Certainly worth keeping them around for that, if nothing else, but also to farm their defeat traits. You are now damaged, but I think we'll go back and heal. Well, partially to heal, and at the same time, partially to get new units. Though now that we know that we get 20 bonus armor for getting these units, I'm now thinking maybe it won't be super necessary to replace these units, that is, until we get the better version of those units. So it looks like the Grace of Chui Yin will be stuck at 95 armor. Oh well, too bad for them. Let's keep going. Let's see who else needs to move. Oh, right, I already did that, so that means skip, outpost lord, outpost upgrade available. Okay, we can actually do that and not skip it. Beautiful. Now we can skip. I guess we'll want to make more military alliances, if nothing else, just to get the, well, speaking of, just to get the ability to build not only cheaper allegiance units, but at the same time to actually upgrade preemptively our outposts. So fine, we'll go for a military alliance with the Gold Tooth and try to military alliance all of our other defensive alliances up. I guess. If we have to, we have to. Alright, Karazkarak, Karakadrin, Grimgor, Zardbor, Sylvania, nobody a threat to us at the current time. Let's also find out whether we can confederate Jiao Ming as yet or not. So, replenish our forces or get bonus cargo. This caravan is not hurt at all, which means we're free to take the additional cargo. Not that we need the money, mind you. Ambusher discovered, ally begins outpost construction, great for ally, but not super relevant to us. Invasion begins of the Lizardmen. Is it a full stack or is it a garbage half stack? It's about a 3/4 stack. Yeah. Probably not super worth our time. In the meantime, you can take out the remnants of this little stack that you already destroyed. Interestingly, it looks like they don't move after being destroyed the first time, which is just fine.
Cathay, it's
Okay, for a second I thought the game would lag out or something, and let's get to you replenished, although frankly it's not even super necessary. Anyway, you've got your buffs now, we'll deal with you in a second probably, and oh, Alberic, I see you're all the way down here at the Copper Landing, no wonder the... damn. Huh, I was about to say no wonder Marcus is winning, but it looks like you've got armies up here as well. Bretonia's doing surprisingly well, which is quite interesting. Quite interesting indeed, but for now we can more or less ignore it. Let's move everybody else around, shall we? So you're waiting for Fire Rain rockets, which we won't have for another decent number of turns. I guess we, in theory, will probably also want to build Fire Rain rockets with the bonus of the armor, but at the same time, well, the Crane Gunners with bonus armor would probably be worth our time, let's face it. We also probably want to give Yishi here a drum, so we should probably do so. Alright, now go over there to Yishi, please. You are who? You're an alchemist, which means you can join one of these armies. You are getting the war compasses, and the tech thieves need to go north. I did not select you, did I? No, I did not. Alright, tech thieves, north it is. Just gotta remember to level you between the episodes at some point so that we don't have to deal with you. You two, are you now able to finally join Yuan Bo's army? Yes, indeed you are, and I would like you to do so. And start gaining XP. No more peasant archers for you, Yuan Bo. Let's go you here. Let's put in you and you.
Celestial
so that you
artifacts shall
can be
mine.
up on those war compasses, or, yeah, at level 18. Which will happen. A couple of points in Curse the Midnight Wind and Ernon's Thunderbolt and Roiling Skies, but for you guys I think we'll move on into the Arcane Conduit and then move back down to Arcane Conduit, no, Ernon's Thunderbolt. And then the same thing with you, though I figure that you both will want to get that you'll want to get scouting as well. In evasion, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one more point in Ernon's. Lovely. Alright, so 2 war compasses here. You're going to be replaced by the Jade Sentinel, the Great Guardian, whatever. I'm just going to rename you the Jade Sentinel, and then I won't be confused about it. And then the army will more or less be complete. We could take out the Great Longma Riders, but I'll think about it. I mean, they've been around with us so long, I'm kind of attached to the unit now, and I do have a tendency to get attached to units, so we shall once again see. You're still recruiting these for Yuan Bo, though they will also have to be replaced with up-armored versions of themselves. It also doesn't change the fact that you need cannons and fire rain rockets, which are available in 1 turn. Fantastic. I mean, I guess you could build a regular cannon, but you could also do that next turn. You also need to build a war drum, which you can begin on doing next turn as well. Damn it, okay. Poor Mujan, he just wants to fight. Okay. Who here needs to move? Alright, you definitely don't, because you're waiting for recruits, and frankly, there's nothing for you guys to do out here. And though we do need to send another army to the Mountains of Morn, they're looking okay. I want to double check if anybody else needs to move. Oh yes, Miao Ying, you need to return to us over here at Snake Gate, even at the cost of a little bit of attrition damage, but it's really not that much. Alrighty, let's keep an eye on Zatan. And are you at war with the orcs? Oh, you're not, okay. For a second I was worried that the orcs would be liable to attack and destroy them, considering we sacked their capital, but it looks like it hasn't happened yet. Let's move down here, steal tech from these guys. We got more tech thievery to do as well, and if that was the last army... Okay, it's not the last hero, though, so we'll move the heroes. You can keep stealing from Marienburg, because I don't see much of a choice in the matter. Surprising that nobody's taken it yet. It's tier 1, and it appears to have been sacked. We also have another Scrivener ready, so we should transfer him to, let's say, you, who I don't remember giving a Scrivener to. If I can find him in here. There we go. What's our research rate, by the way? Is it at 1 turn? Yes, it is. Alright, so the basic stuff is at 1 turn. I imagine this stuff up here is not, but, well, we'll get there eventually. So, what do we want here? Control where armies are present. Probably don't particularly care about that. Melee attack for about half of our units. Not bad. Do we have... and melee defense for the other half. Nice. 30 armor for war drums? Ooh, construction reduction. You know what? Construction time reduction is probably more valuable than anything right now, so we should probably go into that direction. Just double checking what else we have available here. Campaign movement range, devastating flanker for Jade cannons, reload time and ammunition. We did run completely out of ammunition on pretty much everything in that battle against Zatan's forces, so we do have to be concerned about that. Next, I want to see how that Confederation is looking. Minus 15. He needs to lose another stack. All right, come on, lose it to Kugath. If Kugath takes this, I'm willing to bet that we'd be able to confederate. Ooh, Draj is out here as well. Yeah, we definitely need an army down here. In fact, this may be a good time to start building one. Let's see. I mean, we should probably have at least one army that's reasonably cavalry heavy, so Yishi's army... Well, Yishi probably won't be leading the army, mind you, because I like him here. Because he has that supply line thing, but we can send somebody else down there. I did want to build another dragon-blooded lord. Though then the question is what kind... Well, I guess a cavalry wielding. No, but then... So the other dragon-blooded lord that we want is of the yin variety, because our current one is of the yang variety, but the yin variety will probably be much better in an army that is of the... range variety. That's what it's built for. It's for range stuff. And the other for melee, which means we'd have to build a range army, which also means I think we're going to take the Celestial General, another Celestial General. So, let's see who do we have here. Fervent Questioner, Violent, Martial, ooh, Trained. Trained ain't bad. Though it won't make the particular lord more deadly. It ain't bad. Melee attack for the rest of the army, yeah? And then, I mean, I guess we could get weapon specialist to buff you up further, but I think you're okay. I think this is the one we'll go with. So let's get you, Mr. Trained. And then you are going to move down here, I guess, and we are going to take these Jade Lancers as well as this cannon. Do we want Crane Gunners? Yeah, you know what? Let's do Gunners and Iron Hail Gunners in this army. No, I guess we'll also probably want to take... Okay, so basically this is... This is basically Yishi's entire army. Okay, well, that's fine. And then you can move out here, and then you can transfer him one war drum, I would imagine, as well as a few other things, and then we can get going. Yishi now has nothing but crowmen, but frankly, all these units need to swap stuff around, so that's just fine. And then you need to do the same. So we got reinforcements, guys, not to worry. Alrighty, at least we have an army underway, plus another one of these Celestial Generals, which I've been excited to use. Now let's do buildings diplo that end the turn and see what else we got going. Celestial Observatory, yes please, Skeggy. We can also do a market here, I guess, of the wares market variety, because it will be helpful when we're a bigger city. You can also then go to... maybe another one of these mooring towers just for additional bonuses here. Skeggy is kind of in an iffy position, though. Yeah, but nonetheless. It's not a commercial district at the current time, so we're fine. Where were we here? Alchemist Tower, good. Turtle Isles, Golden Ziggurat will go for you. Mostly because I saw it first. No particular reason, there's no real reason. Let's get you to tier 3 building. Lee Temple. 6 turns until we have that +5 control. I've never had so many control problems for a faction before. Well, I mean, not never, but let's just say very, very rarely. I didn't know that Cathay really needed these buildings, and I ended up never building them, so, you know. Gotta deal with it as it is. You are going to get additional growth here because we need it, otherwise the place is taking too long to get up and running, and I guess the same thing is probably true of Nangao. I'd love to get the Celestial Tower, but the growth is at 90 right now, and we just can't take that. Need more growth. Yeah, growth and control for Cathay really, really low until you get a lot of stuff going at the same time. You have the Bastion Feast Hall and the defensive works. I want to remember, what are we building here? Okay, you have the gun thing. You have the nothing. I guess we could go... wait. One of them has the horse thing, right? Yeah, you have horse, you have gun, and I guess you will then have this one. Which means we won't have any of this stuff here, which means we don't bother building anything. Ah, man, I'm just gonna bother me every single turn now. Okay, well, Yuan Bo, do we want to bother fighting this garbage? It's really just such a tiny army. I think it's not worth our time.
The celestial
Just auto... Really? It'll kill our crewmen. Okay, well, the game has decided for us. Here we go.
Men of Cathay, together we shall reduce these foes to a red mist. The better to water our fields and trouble our families no more.
Alrighty, here we go. You know, this is completely unrelated to this particular battle, but I know a few episodes ago, or frankly, like every episode, I've been talking about how the Lord Magistrates should be able to have sky junks instead of sky lanterns as their mount. You know what they also should have as a possible mount? A frickin' war drum. Why not? It makes sense. It makes complete and utter sense. The command... Look, they can literally be this guy standing there watching and commanding the force while this guy behind him drums. And at the same time, you know how the Chaos Sorcerer heroes can use Chaos War Shrines, which are support creatures, as mounts. Why can't these guys? Come on now. Just make the magistrate slightly better. And I know Vanguard deployment for an entire army is very strong, but the Sky Lantern is stupid. I think we can all agree on that one, right? Anyway, here we go. Unrelated stuff aside, we're going to be facing off against some lizards, not because I think that they have any kind of chance against us here, but more so because of the fact that the auto-resolve would otherwise kill our poor Crowman. Anyway, this at least gives us the chance to use our lovely Vortex spell. Completely unnecessary here, but it's probably one of the coolest looking spells in the game. In fact, no probably about it. I always forget how much mana it costs, though. We haven't had the opportunity to use it on a big blob of enemies. Oh, he's transformed, so we can't see it anymore. Haven't had the opportunity to use it on a big blob of enemies as yet, and I would like to see how much damage it can deal to one of those. Though on a single unit of Saurus, taking 75% of their HP, though not their models, is pretty good. I can see that the Saurus have the same model not losing thing as our Jade Warriors have a tendency to do. As in, they take a ton of HP damage, but don't lose a lot of models. At least not to spells or, small arms fire or whatever, I guess. Anyway, Yuan Bo's gonna move in and start annoying some enemy infantry by the looks of it. Mainly the single enemy range infantry. He's gonna use that Crackle Blaze ability he has as well to damage them, while the Jade Longmas hunt down those Fire Leech Bolas. I have a very, very healthy respect for Fire Leech Bolas, as, well, for those of you watching my Krog-Gar campaign, you know how much I love that unit and how much I constantly use them and sing their praises, so yeah. Anyway, here comes the charge of the enemy Cold One Spear, just regular Cold One Riders, though of course the charge will be blunted by the Celestial Dragon Guard. Alrighty, not so bad. I know that's a lovely looking effect. I have no idea what that was, but I guess it's not super important. Anyway, the enemy army, or enemy line, I guess, has reached our line, and now it's just a simple matter of holding. We have a lot of buffs on us and a lot of debuffs on the enemy, so I don't imagine we will have too much trouble. I think, actually, by virtue of making Yuan Bo's army more of a melee army than a range army, even if he's supposed to be, fairly decently range usy, I think it'll mean we'll have a lot more fun battles with him as the campaign goes on, because more enemy units will actually reach our lines rather than being just absolutely obliterated like they do under Miao Ying's army. And thus we'll get more opportunities to see our lions in action and all of our units fight, and our Astromancers drop spells on enemies and such. It'll be a good time. Anyway, the enemies are heavily debuffed here. Curse of the Midnight Wind combined with Transmutation of Lead means basically no unit has melee attack at all. 0 melee attack and minimum amount of damage done. It's a pretty hilariously good combination, especially when the enemy moves in like this, so it's certainly a good reason to use Alchemists together with the Astromancers. Looks like a Basti is fighting our Astromancers here, though we probably shouldn't be using Astromancers like this, whereas the others are getting ripped apart as well. Frankly, all the enemies are getting ripped apart because of the non-stop buffs preventing them from doing any damage. And I suppose this is sort of in that way the same as having an army with nothing but piles of range units destroying the enemy before they can do anything, but at least in this form of army, we can see them all engaged in glorious melee combat, which is really the obviously superior form of combat. Sorry to any Tau supporters out there, but that's just the way it is. Anyway, let's... Ooh, Net of Amantok. Oh, I never noticed that it was all colorful like this. It's so pretty. I thought it would be completely white like it is on the icon of the spell, but no. Lovely. Anyway, but I guess it does make sense that it is, well, it is the lure of light after all. So I wonder if all the other effects have like a prism effect on them. I gotta take another look at Shem's Burning Gaze and a few of the others. When zoomed out, Shem's Burning Gaze definitely looks completely white, but maybe close up it's more rainbowy instead. We'll have to see that next time, though I basically never use Shem's Burning Gaze. Anyway, we're going to do our best to chase down the enemies. Obviously, at least some of them will get away, but this army is absolutely destroyed, and our melee line, as we can see by the HP in this particular battle, is perfectly fine. And auto-resolve, so are our bloody crowmen. How dare you? Leave them alone. Alrighty, well, game thought we needed to fight that for some reason, so fight it we did. Let's venerate, keep on venerating, I guess, because the money isn't all that useful to us at the current time. You are going to go around the mountain, but it looks like you're going to be far enough away, which means we attack you again and destroy you. And that's it for the invasions of the second relay. Fantastic. Fantastic, as we can now move on to the third relay with Yuan Bo and probably send Mujin down to the other one. I do have to wonder whether we should probably get this guy's army somewhere else right now, as in to our own territory in order to retool it a little bit. I mean, I'd love to keep fighting with it, especially as we've had this Lord Magistrate for quite the while. Yeah, maybe that's the way to go. Alright, fine. You're gonna start moving all the way up here. It'll be quite a while until you get there, mind you. Well, maybe not that long. It's better than I thought. And I guess we could also move you to help Yuan Bo out, but I think he'll be fine, at least judging by what's been going on so far. Ooh, looks like the Skaven have managed to split the Lizardman Empire in half. Well, that's quite interesting. What I would really prefer is if they took the Star Tower from them, or else we're going to have to kill the lizards and, well, not have much of a choice in the matter. And I guess we'll see. You guys, I think, are all good, as I did that before the fight. So unassigned skill points outpost available, Lord not moved outpost upgrade available, yes. And now we're good. I'll do Diplo next turn. Alright, let's see if Kugath damn, it looks like Kugath didn't manage to kill off that army. I was hoping to confed, but it looks like it ain't happening right now. Peace with Zatan. There's really no need. I mean, he's basically providing free training to our troops up north. And we do have to destroy him, I guess, before the endgame scenario arrives, though at the same time we will have to... get armies back up there to deal with his respawning. But oh well. Alrighty, what do we have here? Add Jade Warriors or add Peasant Archers? Gonna have to go with the Jade Warriors. Sword Brothers. And... oh, that'll max out this army. We may want to destroy a couple of the weaker units like the 2 Peasant Archers in this army in order to get better ones in there. Ambusher discovered Morgar. Construction time, yes, and that's good. We'll reduce the construction time of the other types of units by doing this over the next few turns. Just assuming that we don't need anything here. Well, nothing crazy. Alright, I mean, everything's pretty decent over there, but, well, we'll deal with it as it comes. Now, first of all, are you ready to confed? -2! -2 game! Why? Why you gotta screw me like that? Ugh. Can we take a small army away from you and thereby we can, you know, the lowest required is 26? How much do we have with you? Wait, we have 26. Oh. How much does it cost to take this army from you? Oh, we need a military alliance with you to do it. What will that do to our chance of confed? Okay, here's what we'll do. We'll do military alliance, but at the same time, we'll have you declare war on the Warhost of Jar and Clan Pestilence. You don't want to do that, eh? But that may be a good thing, because you think Clan Pestilence are strong. Balance offer. 15,000 gold. Hopefully he won't be like, oh, I'm rich now. I don't need to confed you. Well, let's, come on. Will this do it for us? Yes, it will. His faction becomes weaker by virtue of being at war with all these other factions. And here we go. The Iron Dragon is now home. Perfection. Perfection, that was the last of the Cathayan factions. We have them all now. We got a bunch of plagues in the new territories, but what can you do? Zhao Ming is also alive himself, though I'm willing to bet that the AI has completely screwed him with regards to his point usage. Let's see, he has... Well, other than Devastating Charge, which is kind of a waste, this actually isn't so bad. I think I would have probably taken Piercing anyway. Huh. I think this is the first time I've ever seen the AI not completely screw you over. Well, it looks like we're good then. It looks like we're good. Shocking. I don't even know what to say about this. Pleasantly surprised. Upkeep production for Ogre Mercenary units, that's all swell. You at least have regeneration, and you also give armor-piercing weapon damage to your army, which is why you like melee units, and you're going to be one of our more melee-centric armies. I mean, I suppose that Yuan Bo is also fairly melee-centric for the way I'm building him, despite the fact that he should, in theory, be a little bit less melee-centric, because he has Net of Ammon talk, and generally range spells, but I like it. I like the way we're using him. Yeah, well done, Jiao Ming. Or well done, AI, to not screw you over. Wow, you've gotten a lot of drums and stuff here. Are you guys able to connect? No, okay, well, we'll use all of you in one army. Crafty, you have no use for us, Mr. Crafty. And you know what? There's probably a bunch of stuff to do admin-wise, like delete armies, delete buildings, etc., etc., etc. I will do this between the episodes, so I'm going to call it here. And when we come back, we'll get Yuan Bo. Well, we'll get Yuan Bo moving south. We'll get Jiao Ming moving south as well to start fighting Drajuath and Kugath and taking/retaking these territories. In addition, we will, I guess, try to get Miao Ying her new army, or buffed up army slightly, though I'm still thinking that we want to wait until tier 5 is available before we really swap any of her units out, but I'll think about it. Either way, more Yuan Bo to come as we head towards the 3rd and 4th relay, so stay tuned, don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.